Hi everyone, my name is Vazgen and I work as a senior product manager at Adobe. I'm working on an Adobe Workfront product, which is a cloud-based work management platform for enterprises. An easy way to describe this, imagine a system where you would go for information about your work. How it is going, what more can we do, where can we optimize our work processes. And as a result, you can imagine it's a fairly large application with a large number of capabilities and many teams continually working on enhancing it. With that, we make sure to dedicate time to clean the system up and routinely deprecate features. For the past 4 years, I have worked on killing 3 products already, and I'm currently working on the 4th, which I guess makes me a serial killer of products. And that's what I want to talk about today, killing products, which is not so glamorous part of product management, but it is vital for product success. So today we'll go through some benefits for killing features, cover the concept of treating feature killing as another feature, review some flags to look for that can help to identify features for killing, as well as look through the deprecation checklist, a list of questions to answer when you want to kill a feature, a list that we use internally. So what happens when we make a decision to kill a product? In a lot of cases, many times when we think about it, we think that this is our failure as product managers. After all, product failed to capture the market, and our job is not allow things like that to happen, is it not? We go into a defensive mode, we try to save a feature by raising awareness of it, adding more features, and more often than not, this does not accomplish the desired result and actually gets us in a worse state than when we started. I think it is important to shift our mindset about killing features. Let's think about it more positively. And a good positive analogy is pruning. Cutting weak branches from a tree helps it heal because the sunlight energy is used more effectively and stronger branches utilize more of that sunlight energy. In software products, think of sunlight as all the resources you spend on supporting the tree, which is in this case application, and these resources can be engineering, support, professional services, etc. Without regular feature deprecation, your code becomes more complex, your support team will get more tickets and questions, new employee onboarding will become increasingly slower, and new users of the application will spend more time learning it. Routinely killing features allows to keep the product complexity and the associated maintenance costs in check. So one thing I learned through experience is that the decision to kill a product is not much different from the decision to enhance it. Killing a product has its associated costs and revenue, they just come from different sources. So to compare, when developing a new feature, company incurs primarily development costs and gets revenue according to its business model. But when deprecating a feature, the costs are primarily included through the change management processes. Revenue gain is longer term through decreased support costs, faster development cycles, etc. If we take that into account, the decision to kill a product becomes very similar to an enhancement decision. You still do the calculation for the return on investment and you make a decision accordingly. So how to decide which features to deprecate? How to identify what flags to look for? So what I found through experience is that not all deprecations are created equally. From what I've seen so far, the features fall into 3 categories. The first one is a poor market fit. Distinctive characteristic of such products is low to non-existent usage, and such products are easiest to kill. In some cases, as was with the product I killed, customers might not even notice that it is gone. A caution for those products is to look also into internal usage, because some features might have 0 usage by the customers, but the company still sells those and makes money. So as an example of such feature, our application had the ability to endorse users. You could easily highlight a person, endorse them for something, and that would show up on their profile. Discoverability was good, but we barely saw any adoption of the feature. The main reason was the lack of alignment with what that feature did and who we targeted as a primary persona at the time. The deprecation went without a hitch. We received no complaints whatsoever. So the next group of features to deprecate is the hard to maintain features. Those usually have good usage, but they are very hard to maintain and enhance. Such features usually have some underlying architecture problems that make them very hard to support, like legacy technology, years of adding features without any major refactoring, or maybe even non-scalable business model, etc. So killing those features is harder, as the customers are still using those to solve real problems, and they will ask you for a replacement solution. For this group, I want to bring two examples. We had 4 large tools embedded in the application, which were focused on the resource aspect of the work management. All of the tools were built using Flash technology, and as Adobe announced the end of life for it, we started work on the replacement solutions. Eventually, we were able to replace the 4 tools with 2, and as we consolidated features and enhanced these new solutions, we received quite some feedback on missing use cases and had to continue iteration. The overall effort for replacing those 4 tools took us 2 years and plus 1 year to address the additional feedback that we received. Another example is that our application had the capability for admins to grant individual users early access to new capabilities, which is a very nice thing when you think about it, specifically from product management perspective. But back in the days, we didn't have infrastructure support. We had a custom written homegrown feature toggling solution, and the releases were tightly coupled with the major platform releases. So suffice it to say, we couldn't support it well from quality and infrastructure standpoint, and the decision was made to kill that feature. In the recent years, we have greatly enhanced our infrastructure and now get early feedback via our more mature feature toggling practices and dedicated solution for that. So the third group that I want to cover today is about the features that are not aligned to the strategy. So maybe the feature was added in the past when different markets were being explored, or maybe the target market itself changed. Whatever the reason, you are now stuck with a feature that solves a problem that your product is not about. Such features impact further development. They require you to support use cases that do not match your target users. They are also the hardest to kill. Ideally, they should not have a high usage pattern, as your product strategy probably should support the usage of your majority of your customers. But deprecating them is the hardest, because even with the small usage numbers, they have a really loyal customer base. And in this case, you don't provide a replacement solution. So recently, we had a good example of this feature. We had a capability in the platform to manage person's workload hour by hour. The manager or team lead could have assigned tasks to a person hour by hour, filling their day like in a calendar and ensuring maximum utilization. It was our decision not to move forward with it, given how focused on micromanaging this solution is and where the market moves towards granting more autonomy to employees. This resulted in several highly sensitive conversations with heavy users of a functionality. But where we shined there is that our prior research allowed us to have much more mature conversations with the customers. And in some cases, it actually helped us to help them to adapt their processes to the way the world evolves, to grant more autonomy to the employees and reduce that tight grip over the work that each employee is doing. So overall, the best strategy in communication is transparency. Tell customers outright that you want to support the solution long term and offer them alternatives if possible. Of course, the level of communication will differ. A feature that nobody knows exists requires much less communication than something with huge usage numbers. Communication is directly correlated with the level of risk. So you can see in the table here, the more the risk, the more you need to pay attention to the communication and the more mediums of communication you'll need to employ. The development effort is a little different. because for features that you flat out remove from the system, removing the code is usually a low effort. However, if you want to provide a replacement solution, which is specific to hard to maintain features, for those the development effort is going to be higher. But you can also see that it also has the highest return on investment. And also one thing to notice is the low development effort and medium return on investment for features that are not aligned to strategy. If you have those in your product, remove them always. Like, it's not going to help you to have those features in the product. And an important thing to note here is that there will always be people who are unhappy with a feature going away. You can do things to ease this. For example, you can provide API access so that the customers can build some solution themselves. You can leverage your partner network to provide some partner solutions that complement your main solution. But at the end of the day, if a customer is married to a use case that doesn't align with your long-term strategy, they are not your target customer. And if you want to keep them, it is going to be bad both for your business and for the customer, because they will not be able to fully solve their problem with your product. So what are some things to consider when killing a feature? First and foremost, I would say that the most important thing when deprecating features is the deep understanding of those features. And by that, I don't mean just how the feature works, but rather how it was built, why it was built, what problem it is supposed to solve, how it is being used by the customers, what problems are they solving with it. And doing this research will save you from a lot of unpleasant conversation when doing the deprecation. And if you do get in such conversations, you will be able to have a much more constructive discussion, since the discussion is no longer about a specific feature, but a specific problem that the customer tries to solve that is not meant to be solved by your product. So assuming you did your homework and did the research, here are some questions that we ask ourselves when deprecating a feature. Why do we deprecate the feature is the first question that we ask, but in addition to that, we also ask ourselves, what does the feature do today and what was it supposed to do? How do we measure the success of a deprecation? What the feature does today? How it is being used? How will we communicate deprecation internally and externally? What is the long-term strategy for the area? And if we compare this to the questions that we ask for enhancing our product and developing new features, similar questions apply. It's a pretty good thing to ask these questions for new features as well. So with that, I want to conclude today's presentation and with these 3 key takeaways. So killing features is a positive thing. Treat this the same as any other feature addition. Do this regularly and your product will stay healthy, easy to maintain and enhance. And always try to understand the problem as deep as possible. This will save you a lot of headaches later on. That was all. Thank you.